Sheldon's 15-year-old Frosty the Snowman joke in The Big Bang Theory just got paid off in the most unexpected way. When The Big Bang Theory premiered back in 2007, few could have predicted the way its quirky humor and meticulous callbacks would become a staple of modern sitcom storytelling. The show gave audiences not only a gallery of lovable and awkward characters, but also an arsenal of running gags that lingered in fan memory long after the credits rolled. From Sheldon's ritualistic knocking to Howard's infamous motherly interruptions, these moments became part of television history. But perhaps one of the most peculiar and long-forgotten gags, Sheldon Cooper's bizarre obsession with the song Frosty the Snowman, has just received an unexpected payoff more than 15 years later. And the best part? It didn't happen on The Big Bang Theory itself. It took a detour through young Sheldon and a cultural callback that proved how tightly woven the Big Bang universe has become. What was once a throwaway joke about a Christmas carol has now been retroactively transformed into a clever, emotional, and downright hilarious payoff that fans never saw coming. Sheldon Cooper and his Frosty fixation. To understand why this payoff works so well, we need to rewind all the way back to The Big Bang Theory Season 2. In the episode The Bath Item Gift Hypothesis, Sheldon delivers one of his classic pedantic rants about the lyrics of Frosty the Snowman. While most people accept the holiday song as innocent fun, Sheldon points out, with trademark smugness, that the song's premise is deeply flawed. Frosty, a snowman who came to life one day, is logically inconsistent. According to Sheldon, snowmen do not spontaneously animate, and even if they did, it raises troubling questions about consciousness, mortality, and what happens when Frosty melts. His long-winded over-analysis of a beloved children's song became another example of Sheldon's inability to suspend disbelief. For him, Frosty the Snowman wasn't just a Christmas carol, it was a scientific affront. Fans laughed at the absurdity, but the joke quickly disappeared into the show's catalog of one-off Sheldon quirks. Unlike Soft Kitty or The Roommate Agreement, Frosty never became a recurring gag. For years, it was just a funny little footnote in Sheldon's endless nitpicking of pop culture. Or so we thought. The unexpected payoff in Young Sheldon, fast forward over a decade, and Young Sheldon, the prequel series chronicling Sheldon's childhood in Texas, began sprinkling in hints and callbacks to explain adult Sheldon's eccentricities. We learned the origins of Soft Kitty, why Sheldon knocks 3 times, and even how his love for trains took root. But no one expected the Frosty rant to ever matter again. That's why fans were floored when a recent episode of Young Sheldon and a subtle line in the Big Bang Theory retrospective finale finally gave Sheldon's Frosty obsession a real narrative punch. In the episode, 9-year-old Sheldon attends a Christmas pageant at his church where the children perform Frosty the Snowman. True to form, Sheldon interrupts the performance by loudly pointing out the song's illogical lyrics. The crowd groans, the pastor looks annoyed, and Mary, his mother, is mortified. But here's the kicker, Sheldon's grandfather, Pop, laughs uncontrollably at the outburst. For the first time, young Sheldon feels validated in his analytical nitpicking. It becomes a formative moment, cementing why the Frosty debate stuck in his mind for years to come. Then comes the emotional payoff. In narration, adult Sheldon reveals that the last Christmas memory he shared with Pop before his passing involved them rewatching an animated Frosty the Snowman special together. And Sheldon, in typical fashion, couldn't resist pointing out the same logical fallacies he'd complained about as a boy. Suddenly, Sheldon's weird fixation on Frosty isn't just a throwaway joke. It's rooted in memory, family, and a rare moment of connection with a loved one who encouraged his quirks rather than shutting them down. How the callback works on 2 levels. The brilliance of this payoff is that it functions both comedically and emotionally. 1. Comedic level, on the surface, it's hilarious that Sheldon's hyper-logical brain can't leave A Christmas Carol alone, even 30 years later. Fans who remembered the old rant were treated to the classic sense of déjà vu that makes callbacks so satisfying. 2. Emotional level, on a deeper layer, the Frosty connection gives Sheldon's nitpicking a heartwarming origin. What once seemed like pointless pedantry is now tied to a rare bond with his grandfather. In a life where Sheldon often felt misunderstood, this memory explains why Frosty held such a strange grip on his mind. It's the kind of payoff sitcoms rarely attempt, much less pull off after 15 years. What started as a funny rant became an anchor point for character growth, reinforcing the idea that even the smallest jokes in The Big Bang Theory were rooted in the writer's deep understanding of Sheldon Cooper. Why this works better than other Big Bang callbacks? The Big Bang Theory had plenty of running gags, but not all of them aged gracefully. Raj's selective mutism and Howard's creepy behavior toward women, for instance, were phased out as the characters grew. Others, like Penny's constant mocking of Sheldon or the elevator never working, were satisfying but predictable. The Frosty callback stands out because it wasn't a recurring gag, it was a deep cut. Fans didn't expect to ever hear about it again, which made its return far more surprising. By weaving it into young Sheldon, the writers avoided the trap of nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. Instead, they elevated the joke into something meaningful. This payoff also shows how the shared universe of the Big Bang Theory and young Sheldon has become richer with time. Much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe uses small Easter eggs to tie decades of storytelling together, the Big Bang franchise now thrives on rewarding viewers who remember the tiniest details. What it reveals about Sheldon Cooper. The Frosty payoff also gives us fresh insight into Sheldon as a character. We've always known him as a man of science, someone who prioritizes logic above all else. But this callback shows that behind his rigid exterior lies a surprisingly sentimental core. His obsession with Frosty isn't just about correcting flawed lyrics, it's about holding onto a memory of being understood. This revelation adds weight to Sheldon's adult quirks. Suddenly, his endless contracts, routines, and lectures aren't just about control, they're about preserving the few moments of validation he experienced in his youth. For fans who have watched Sheldon grow from awkward physicist to loving husband and father in the finale, the Frosty connection feels like a final puzzle piece sliding into place. How fans reacted. The online fanbase erupted when the Frosty callback dropped. Longtime viewers of The Big Bang Theory took to forums and social media to celebrate the writer's attention to detail. Many praised it as one of the most touching Easter eggs the show has ever delivered. Some fans admitted they didn't even remember Sheldon's original rant until seeing the episode and then going back to rewatch the Season 2 clip. Others applauded how young Sheldon has consistently added new dimensions to gags that once seemed like empty comedy. One viral comment summed it up best. Only Sheldon Cooper could turn a 60-year-old Christmas song into a 15-year setup for a punchline that made me cry. The legacy of the Frosty joke. With young Sheldon concluding and the universe expanding into spin-offs, the Frosty payoff feels like the perfect example of how the Big Bang Theory's legacy endures. Sitcoms rarely take the time to revisit old gags, much less transform them into something profound. Yet this one silly complaint about a snowman has now become part of Sheldon Cooper's emotional DNA. More importantly, it's a reminder of how comedy and heart can coexist. The Big Bang Theory made us laugh for 12 years. But it's the emotional payoffs, like Sheldon thanking his friends at the Nobel Prize ceremony or finding meaning in a children's Christmas song, that keep the franchise alive. In the end, Frosty the Snowman did what no physics paper, Star Trek reference, or contract clause could ever do. He melted Sheldon's icy exterior just enough to remind fans why we fell in love with him in the first place.